Hey everyone, good afternoon, where everyone is in the world today. Welcome, welcome. This is Kathy Homeyer from Nourishing Your Multidimensional Body. And as people come in, let's see, I'm just going to take that agenda, hide that. Okay. So, and as people come in, I am talking with Deanna Hansen today, and very excited to talk with Deanna again. I just kind of resonated with her program years ago. I think when you were just kind of, if you want to say starting or whatever, just getting branded, and still keeping tabs. And I really love the work. It's a little bit different. I'm going to let Deanna tell you what it's all about. It's a therapy, but it's an exercise. And the reason that I love this is that anybody can do it. You don't have to go do gymnastics or, be at a gym and do calisthenics. So any kind of condition, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but really any body condition can do this work. And that's why I really love it, because it's just for everybody, and it releases more than fascia, which is, I'll let Deanna tell you all about, but emotions and blocks as well. So welcome everybody. I see everybody coming in, and hello Dottie, and is that how you say your name? That's cool. Hello. I see everybody come in, say hello, tell me where you're from. I love to know where people log in from. So welcome Deanna, nice to talk to you again.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm very excited to be here.
So you'll have to give us, of course, the short background, which I'm sure you can do in your sleep. About block therapy. Oh, the way, actually, I loved it. You used to call it, what was the name you called it before?
Well, fluid isometrics is actually the technique that I developed to teach therapists to do. Block therapy is the self-care version of that technique.
Okay.
So quick little background. I've been an athletic therapist since 1995. And so I was trained in, all of the ways to rehab a body, to look after a body, to keep a body healthy. And I was applying that to my personal life, yet I wasn't receiving the benefit. At the time, I was about 50 pounds overweight, struggling with anxiety, depression, addiction, and yet I was working really hard. I was in the gym, I was doing Taebo, running 400 sit-ups a day. Part of my issues is I have a bit of an extreme personality. So the harder I worked, the worse my body felt, the worse it looked, the more congested I was, the more constipated I was, and then the more anxiety and depression I ultimately felt, and my life was really in a tailspin. So I started making some changes to my life around the age of 30 that were necessary from a business perspective and so on. And I started having some serious anxiety attacks as a result. And these anxiety attacks were so scary because the one in particular I'm talking about, I actually thought I was going to die. I couldn't catch my breath. I was so frozen in fear. For some reason in that moment, I dove my hand into my belly, and that was the seed of everything to come, because in that moment, I encountered pain, and the 50 extra pounds of weight I carried were all seeming to be settled largely in my belly. So I hated that area. I never touched it. And now I'm diving in and I'm encountering pain, but that's taking me out of my anxiety. It's bringing me back to the ground. I know I'm not going to die in the moment. I found my breath. But then what I observed as I was just intuitively searching in this area was scar tissue, even though I hadn't had any injuries or surgeries in this area. So suddenly I'm having all these realizations, like no wonder after coming home from a 5-mile run, dripping wet with sweat, my belly still felt cold. So the first night I was intuitively, again, just searching, woke up the next day a little sore, but I felt really calm. And throughout the day, I was really excited to go back home and to just dive in again and see what else I could uncover. And after the second night of exploring in the same manner, when I stood up, I felt different. I felt taller and lighter. And when I went to the mirror, I started to cry because my belly was flatter than it had looked in years. And again, years of extreme exercise, dieting, all of the things I was trying to do to create change and force my body, I realized, wow, this is something really simple to do that's making changes. So first, it brought me out of my scary panic attack. Then very quickly, I started seeing changes. So now every night I was coming home, and this became my new addiction. I would work on my belly for about, an hour every night. And within 2 weeks, my chronic low back pain was going away. My constipation was improving. My anxiety, depression were lifting. So I started flipping my patients onto their backs and working in a similar manner. And then I started having these wonderful responses with my patients, which started attracting other therapists to learn my work. So for a period of time, I had clinics where I was training therapists in fluid isometrics, which is what I call the actual technique. But my real passion is to teach self-care. So about 9 or 10 years ago now, the block therapy came into existence as a way to teach people how to do this work for themselves and ultimately melt through those adhesions in the tissue that block blood and oxygen flow to cells. And it's really efficient, super simple to do. There's truly no skill required. And as you've already mentioned, pretty much anybody and everybody can do this and have healing benefits.
Yeah, and one thing, even in energetic work, we look at the fascia. Fascia seems to be the big buzzword, and I'm sure you helped to get that out there. And because fascia covers our whole body and communicates with our whole body, that by working with probably one area, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, by working with one area of the fascia, it not only brings the circulation and all the 3D stuff to that area in the body, but it releases it and communicates to the rest of it.
Absolutely. And we're just launching our Fascia Masters YouTube education series. And the very first episode is what is fascia from our perspective. I've spent over 50,000 hours working in patients and myself. And what is really interesting to understand is that it's not the fascia that we're melting, it's the adhesions holding the fascia out of alignment that we're addressing with block therapy so that we can create a release and we can allow the cells to migrate back to proper alignment. It's in those congested areas that not only toxins and byproducts of functioning get trapped, but also negative emotion. So that's the really interesting part. When you start undoing these adhesions and allowing the fascia to release back to its proper alignment, those negative emotions start to surface. So we can often have these healing crises where suddenly you're feeling angry, or for me personally, because of my issues in my younger years, I used to have really bad nightmares chronically. And now the odd similar nightmare will surface, and I'll know now that I'm just getting deeper to the old stuff that's coming up and leaving. So as soon as we can experience it and exhale it out, it's on its way out. So now I appreciate when I have those traumatic nightmares that I used to have daily that were really scary for me at the time.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm an emotion code certified therapist, but obviously there's many different ways to release the emotions and become more aware of your body, both physically, mentally, spiritually. And this is one way. I love this because by just kind of sitting on the block, and maybe you can show the block again too. And also, you do it from cedar. Is that for a reason?
There's a few reasons, and interestingly enough, pretty much this whole process for me has evolved organically. This isn't something I thought of. It's something that happened again. It started with an anxiety attack, and for the last almost 19 years now that I've been working with this and developing this, it's all been a very organic process for me. So when we started creating block therapy, I was working with one of my woodworkers who was also trained in my technique. And I asked him, like, what is the best wood for us to use in this scenario? And he right off the hop said cedar was the best wood. Now, I've tried 6 different kinds of wood, and cedar is the wood that feels the kindest in the tissue, that goes the deepest. And now there's all these beautiful healing properties and cleaning properties to cedar as well, not to mention how beautiful it smells. But when you are lying on this block, cedar and bone share a similar density. So the fascia will grip and adhere to bone with the force of 2,000 pounds per square inch, which is an amazing force to consider inside the body. So over time, as
Can
we
you say that again?
The fascia will grip and adhere to bone with a force of 2,000 pounds per square inch. So this is what's holding us out of alignment. So when someone says, sit up straight and breathe properly, we're dealing with that force. If we've been in front of a computer for 30, 40 years or whatever it is, our posture over time, affected by gravity, we basically compress and become shorter and wider in a forward rotational direction. So the fascia seals us magnetically in that alignment with that grip. So because bone and wood are similar in density, and with the way that we teach you how to move through those layers of adhesions in the fascia to release it, we very effectively can actually get to the grip at the bone and create that release in that most rooted place so that we can improve blood and oxygen flow to cells and, again, release anything negative that's been trapped in the tissue, whether it's actual debris or emotion or byproducts of functioning. So that release creates a cleaning, a cleansing, and it creates space that we've lost over time in the tissue for creativity, for thriving in life, for all of those wonderful things that we want.
Mm-hmm. I've had the chance to do some of the intensives that you've done. So you offer classes and you offer intensives, you offer Facebook Live sometimes to let people know what this is all about. And I have to say, my bucket list is to become an instructor. That's my bucket. Even my bucket list is become an instructor. So we'll work on that. But but just in the small amount that I've taken time myself to do, I do see results really quickly. Even when I don't do a lot, I'm like, whoa, I get that release. So it is something that I think you obviously, do all the time. But I've seen just in the small amount that I've, taken the time to do it, that I do see results right away in different areas. So,
and I think one of the things to realize is the body wants to be correct. We've forgotten how to breathe because the collapse of the rib cage into the core from unconscious breathing has locked our diaphragm muscle away. It's kind of like having a frozen shoulder, but we have a frozen diaphragm. And when we are breathing diaphragmatically, not only do we feed the body 6 times the oxygen, we also remove the waste that much more efficiently. And when we have all of our cells communicating with our blood flow, those cells send messages to the brain so that we can act consciously in every single moment. When we have a whole bunch of blocks to blood and oxygen flow, now we have a disconnect between what those cells are experiencing and the messages that they're relaying to the brain. So now we start relying on memory, and memory is part of our past. And I love it. In Eckhart Tolle's book, he talks about diaphragmatic breathing being the way that we connect to the present. When we're breathing through the muscles of the upper chest, we're connected to fear, thoughts of past and future. So when we have all of those blocks in our actual fascia system blocking flow to cells, that's what we're relying on. So we're living in more of a fear state. He's also talking about how the actual brain patterns change when we're breathing diaphragmatically to a more relaxed, calm state, as opposed to a stressed, high frequency state. So the basis of block therapy is to truly get us back to proper diaphragmatic breathing. And it's the block that allows us to release those adhesions and to allow us to change our cellular alignment so that we can support proper breath and proper alignment in general.
Mm-hmm. And I love this too, because I've never been much of a meditator. Everybody says, oh, you got to meditate, and meditation is all great. And I'm like, I don't take the time to do that. Even when I watched TV when I was little, I always had to be doing something with my hands or creating something, some craft or something. So I actually love block therapy in that respect, because I feel like I can do my meditation while doing something for my 3D body, as well as kind of meditating, because you are using the breath. You are slowing down, you're paying attention to your body, and all the things that have to go along with that.
And what's really nice too is when we're diving into those layers in tissue, we're connecting to the cells that are deeper than what we are consciously aware. So we start to communicate with our deeper self. And it's kind of like when you have a baby and you have to learn what the different cries mean. You don't immediately understand that, oh, the baby's crying because it's hungry, or it needs to be changed, or it's tired, or it wants to be held. It's a process of learning. So as we do block therapy on the body, we start to learn what our cells are saying. And then we become more intuitive with what our body needs in the moment, so we can become our own healthcare advocates.
Mm-hmm. Right, and become more responsible and connected with what our body is saying and needing, versus what somebody else is telling us that our body is saying.
Absolutely. I'm the last person to talk about nutrition. That is not my world. But what I do understand is that there's no one prescription that's right for everybody. Mm-hmm. For somebody, quinoa might be a wonderful food group, but for others, they might not digest it well. So it's really about listening to the responses, and it's a lifestyle. It's not something that we're going to figure out in a moment. It's something that we start to work with and we start to learn. And every day that you do this work, there's gifts that it brings, because we keep melting through more adhesions. We connect to those deeper cells, and we start learning what our tissue what our bodies truly need for health.
Yeah, and in terms of nutrition, you know, I read pretty much every diet out there. I've you know, done so much on nutrition. I cook food all the time. I created the Nutritional Energetics program, but the thing, of course, that I've learned just like you, there's no one program. My philosophy is I don't really care what you eat. Because I mostly follow the traditional food preparation, so it's not really about what you eat per se. It's about preparing it nutrient dense. It's about listening to your body. I have a friend who was going through a lot of changes, both spiritually and body, and he said that he ate salmon for like a year. That's all he wanted to eat. He ate salmon and must have needed that and just went with it and didn't. Sure, he had to have been getting nutrition, you know, what he needed, but it's not so much where you, and I could never follow it anyway. The diets that just say you eat this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that I could never do that. But it is all about listening to your body, what you need in terms of what it is that you're eating, drinking, and the slowing down and kind of just sitting on the block. Because I can see you probably have a lot of people who travel with their block and just use it like really creative ways.
Yeah, it's like you take your therapist with you. So there's two different sizes. There's the Block Buddy, which is the typical size for most adults. And then we created this for kids, but this is a great one to travel with. I actually take this one on the plane with me. I can put it behind my back to improve my posture while I'm seated, or under my thigh so that my hamstring can get nice and heated and can stay nice and fluid and flowing while you're sitting in that cramped little space. So it is wonderful because it's simple. Again, there's no skill required when you're following those videos and you understand how to basically lie on this block and breathe and search for your own pain. That's really what it's about. And it doesn't matter where you're starting, because you can do this in bed. You can do this very slowly and gradually as you start to work your body. If you have a debilitating issue, you can be a high-level athlete and you can do this to a higher level. So again, it's really for everyone. We have a kids program. We have people in their 80s starting the process, because it's never too late to improve blood and oxygen flow to cells and to clean your tissue and to have improved health overall from that. And just to mention, back up with what you were referring to about nutrition, the cells require first and foremost oxygen. And again, that's why we bring the breath into the forefront. We'll die in 5 minutes if we're deprived of oxygen, and our cells require that. So what's really nice about when we get to this process as far as digesting food, the process of diaphragmatic breathing actually helps digestion, helps elimination. It keeps the core heated and warm. And so many people are struggling with things like fatty liver disease. Fats at room, like a butter, for example, at room temperature is a solid. You heat it, it becomes a liquid. So many people have their liver filled with frozen fats, blocking its ability to do its job. And we store anger in the liver. So that's something that we can understand, that the tissue itself needs to be heated and fluid in order for everything, again, whether it's nutrients or emotion, to be able to flow effectively. And when we are lying on the block, we actually have a liver cleanse class in our member site, which is specific for cleaning the liver out. But when you combine lying on the block with a minimum of 3 minutes, body weight and gravity applying the force, combined with diaphragmatic breathing, which is like turning on your internal furnace, our system becomes heated really beautifully, and it allows the flow to improve.
That's an awesome way to explain all that and bring everything into, bring it in multidimensionally, I guess is the only way I can really say it. So that's awesome. You also have a golf program, right? You have blocking for golf. So everything is, and your newest one, you want to give us a clue on the newest one that you're doing?
We have a virtual intensive coming up August the 21st from 7 to 9 p.m. Central. I love these because they are live, they're recorded, so you get this for life, but I'm guiding you with me doing the work personally. When we do our Facebook Live classes that ultimately get uploaded into the member site, it's my nephew Quinn who's doing the work and I'm instructing. So when I'm doing these virtual intensives, it's coming from a different place because I'm actually doing it with you. So I feel it's more pure in its essence and how it's delivered because I'm in the moment with you. And the focus of this one is eye health. So we're going to be spending 2 hours. The first hour will be block therapy to prepare the area, because the rib cage is the foundation for the head and the neck. So if we just approach one area and we don't understand the foundations and how to support them properly, then the work isn't as complete. So for the first hour, we're focusing on that area. And then for the following hour, I'm going to teach you how to use your fingers in and around your eyes so that we can release all those sticky spots, because the eyes will actually glue to the orbit. And that in itself is going to block blood and oxygen flow. And part of it too is understanding proper postural alignment. So for example, if you look at the majority of people, most people have their head tilted forward and to one side. We're dominant on one side, we have a dominant eye. And if you imagine doing this over years, gravity is going to start pulling everything toward the earth. So if I'm sitting this way, my left eye is going to start getting stickier on the left side here. My right eye is going to start getting stickier up through here. And that is going to cause, again, a block to blood and oxygen flow into the eyes. And when I was preparing this class, it was really cool. 3.5 years ago, I was struggling with this business and trying to get it out there, and I got really sick as a result. And I had a fever for about 8 days. And prior to that, I had exceptional vision. And then after that 8-day fever, my vision really got affected. And I was like, wow, this is like, I mean, it was hard for me to read. So of course I worked on my eyes and I got them to a point where I was happy again, because we adapt so well to our new environment. So it wasn't until I was actually preparing this class that I realized, wow, like my left eye is great, but my right eye was still not even close to being as clear as my left eye. So I started, preparing the class and working on just my right eye, because that was my bad one. And just like I thought that night, I had what felt like acid tears, all of the dirt and all of the congestion that had been blocked in there, it started coming out with the tears. And when I woke up the next morning, I was able to close my left eye and read with my right eye clear again. So that's going to be the focus of the class on the 21st. And I'm so excited for this one because, again, you have it in your toolbox for life. So anytime you need to get in there and refresh and clean those eyes out, that'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I have a lot of folks that I know and have, eye issues. I mean, I've had glasses since I I was in 5th grade. And just even keeping what I've got or better. I mean, I'm intending on getting that better. So I'm really excited.
Well, and what's interesting too is you can see in people's eyes, like over time too, as things get thick and congested to here, then that eyelid starts to get thick and it starts to hang, and how we look, how we appear starts to change. So you're also going to observe an actual eye lift. You're going to see physical changes in your skin tissue, in your eyes, and just the alignment in general. So we start taking time out of tissue by putting that space back. And when there's space, there's health, because space allows flow. It's when there's a lack of space, that's when things go through a pain, aging, and a disease type of process. So with block therapy and fluid isometrics, we're doing the reverse of what time does. We're putting the space back into the tissue and taking that time out, including all of the dirt, debris, and emotion that are trapped.
Right, the emotions too. And I know you have a facelift class too, which I've been trying to get myself to do as well. But so yeah, a lot of different things. And the question, I may have said the date wrong for the intensive.
August 21st. It's next Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Central.
Okay. 7 to 9 Central.
Yes.
Okay. Because people are asking questions, and I think I said the date wrong. So I'll just show that for a second as well. And put your website back up too. And yeah, so thanks for correcting me on that. We've had a lot of comments and hellos come through, so I put those up. If you didn't see them there, you can see it on the replay there. Okay, so let me put the website back up. Which is, you say you've actually rearranged your information and have www.unblockyourbody.com. I love that one.
That's our landing page, which is really nice because it's the very first thing people are going to see. So when you get there, if you go to my website, it's full of information. And for some people, they love going to the website because they're ready to dive in. For somebody new, the landing page takes you through a little bit of a different process, so it's not so overwhelming.
I'm just typing in block therapy as well so people can see it. There's lots of great pictures in all of those too.
And it shows all the programs, and each program has a has a sales page which describes, with before and after pictures, it describes everything you get. We have, again, a facelift program, a cellulite program, a back program. The 21-day block blitz, that's really the central program that I like to refer people to if they're just wanting general improvement in a program to keep for life. We target primarily the core and the rib cage, again, so that we can really get that diaphragmatic breath understood. Each program, though, it gives you full body fascia work because we can't address the fascia system without looking at the body as a whole. And those programs also have assessments. So you send me pictures and then I can give you guidance along the way. And you're also part of our community, our online community. So it's a wonderful resource, our block therapy members. In fact, if you're on Facebook and you just want to be part of our community, just to join the conversation, that's free for everybody, block therapy members. And you just ask to join, I accept you, and then you can see the conversations. All of our teachers are in there. People, there's hundreds of people that do block therapy to give you feedback as well, because for me, that's really the key. It's not about what I say. It's about the experience people are having and what they're sharing as a result of doing block therapy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. So I've been showing up the pictures there too, Deanna. I don't know if you can see them from that, but you have a before and after picture. So we were showing that one. And just working on the block as well with somebody.
That's my sister. Yeah, that's my intro video. So that's the belly position. That's the first position we have everybody do, no matter what we're doing, what program we're doing. We always start there because that's the position that engages the breath properly. And as soon as we start engaging that diaphragmatic breath, now we have a different heating system for ourselves so that every other position we do on the block is that much more effective.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So we just got a few minutes left. Is there anything else you want to tell us about, Deanna? Anything we missed? I know, lots of stuff. And you're located, you do live, I mean, you have a studio itself though too, right?
I do, yes. Where we do all of our filming, Quinn and I, Quinn's my nephew. He lives in the building that I live in. He's got the penthouse upstairs, and we do classes there, which are combinations of the fluid isometrics and block therapy. So now with these virtual intensives, I'm definitely going to be getting more into combining, teaching people not only the block, but bringing in that handwork as well, because it's just so powerful, especially on the face when we're dealing with such intricate areas and we want to get into these to clean them out properly. The handwork is a really beautiful way to combine with block therapy to get that really nice benefit for your fascia system. And really, you know, what I've come to understand over the last 20 years is the fascia system is it. It's kind of like every cell is like an egg. The egg shell is, to me, the fascia interconnected to every other cell. So as long as that eggshell is intact, we know that that yolk inside and all that's in there is safe. Our cells are the same. It's really all about proper cellular alignment. As long as those cells are correctly positioned, they are receiving what they need and eliminating the debris, the garbage that needs to be released. It's when there is a lack of space that there becomes a challenge for flow. So, you know, I feel that people focus so strongly on the cellular requirements and the physiology, and the body really knows how to look after itself as long as the flow is there. So block therapy is really all about melting through the flow, finding the cause sites to the issues. Most people, if you go to for a treatment for back pain, you're likely going to get a back treatment, but that's not going to be what's causing the pain in the back. That's just where the pain is. So also looking at the body as a whole, you learn where those cause sites are, so you can really create a cellular shift and you can get to the root of the problem in a very simple, effective, efficient manner.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about space and flow. I also do an energetic program that talks about that, basically the energy coming into your body and space. We never think about spaces in our body as holding energy. But then of course you have to get it to flow out. So if you don't have enough space to hold enough energy to get it to flow, then you're stuck in a lot of different areas. So this is just another way to get through all that, and I think it's awesome. I do have one question here. Someone was asking if you could do this type of work if you've had stomach surgery.
Absolutely. This is wonderful because it melts through scar tissue all the way to where it sticks at the bone. So we have lots of people that, like for people that have had C-sections or whatever the surgeries are, it doesn't matter. We want to melt through that scar tissue again to improve flow. So whether it's scar tissue from injury or surgery, or compression from incorrect posture and alignment over time, it all acts the same in the fascia system. It basically becomes a barricade to blood and oxygen flow, and the block melts through those adhesions that have created that to promote life and flow again.
Right. And fascia and scars, I mean, different energetic work scars cause blockages to the electrical system working. And like you said, all the energy flowing just has to go through the right channels. So this is, you guys really do have to check this out. This is a really simple and easy way. No excuses except, you know, I can't do this. Yeah, everybody can do this, so no excuses. So that's why I'm saying I've allowed my time to do this, because there's no excuses for me except for taking the time to do it.
And what I love too is I have a block in bed. Like the first thing I do in the morning, if I don't have time throughout my day, I know I have that 15 minutes in the morning before I'm even really conscious. I'll throw it under my belly, under my lower ribs, just to get my core heated so that when I get up, everything's already flowing a lot better. You can take it in the car with you. You can use it when you're sitting, working in front of a computer. So there's multiple uses to bring it into your daily life without having to take time out of your life. But again, you're literally hanging out on the block. So my favorite thing to do is throw on a movie and just lie on it while I'm being entertained. The block and the breath are doing the work for you. So again, it really is simple, and it's a beautiful complement to whatever else you're doing, because this helps everything else flow better. So whatever you're doing, from a healing perspective or nutrition or whatever it is, this will be a nice complement for that.
Yeah, absolutely a great compliment. So we can do a few more minutes if you'd like. So you can, if you want to, if we've forgotten something that you want to mention, we can go ahead. I don't think there's any more questions per se. A lot of thank yous for caring. Thank you so much for being here to share your wisdom and giving us something that we can all use to help our bodies, which I think is so important, because it's always great to go to go running or whatever, but if you're not at that point, then you need something to help. And those types of things are really limited unless you're on some kind of machine or something else. So
yeah, and I just want to share too that our community is so supportive. So when you become a block therapy advocate, you have all of us here forever to guide you and help you. It's most important for me that you're looked after, because I know how significant this is for my own personal life. But again, we have a community of, there's probably over 20,000 people worldwide doing block therapy now. And I have an online university, Block Therapy University, and there's now over 70 people globally in the program teaching to their community. So that's really exciting, all the way from Abu Dhabi, Puerto Rico, all throughout North America. But we still have so far to go, because again, this is fairly new in the perspective of getting block therapy out to the world. It's really only been the last 4 years that this has been my central focus. So that is really important to understand. You're never left alone. If you need us, we are here for you. So you're not just going to buy some program and, you know, be on your own to figure it all out. Whatever you need from us, that's what I am most passionate about, is you've got that support from us as a community to make sure that you're looked after.
And I've got somebody asking a question. Does it work well for souls with fibromyalgia and migraines?
I actually have a Block for Fibro program on my homepage of blocktherapy.com. If you go to programs, you'll see specialty programs, and it's under there, Block for Fibromyalgia. So absolutely. And again, if you have fibro and you're in our community, we have many people with fibro in our community that will share their experience. Migraines, we have we have so many, but one of my first teachers, Joanne Holt, she ended up becoming an instructor because her migraines were debilitating. She wasn't able to work. And in a very short period of time, her migraines were gone. And she was, again, one of our first instructors, and as just a leader in bringing the awareness of this work to people. So absolutely, it's all about feeding proper flow to the brain. And the reason that other things haven't been as effective is because it's not about the head. It's about understanding the alignment of the rib cage and the breath so that we can feed what's going on in the brain, in the skull, to release that tension that's in there, causing that pain, and to also get rid of what's going on in there. So for example, people with concussions, you know, it's kind of like you had a car crash in your head, and people are working on the head, we need to get those gates for flow open so we can take the debris away and then send the healing agents to go in there. And the body, again, knows what it needs to send as long as those channels for flow are open. And that's what this is all about.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here shaking my head and I feel like a bobblehead going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, and everybody say thank you so much. People are looking forward to learning more and checking out your program. So, Deanna, hopefully we will speak again and we can talk anytime on if anybody on this program as well, or anybody who contacts me wants to talk about any particular program, we could probably go and talk about one individually. But yeah, check out Deanna's process. It's awesome. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining in today. And Deanna, we will talk later.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I just love doing these with you, and I'm happy anytime to be here with you and your community. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk later. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for chiming on, and check out what do we want to say? www.unblockyourbody.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. And Dottie's saying she's feeling very grateful that she was tuned into the show today. So,
thank you, Dottie.
Okay, I'm sure you'll hear from some people who are already on the show and listening on the replay. So thanks, Deanna, and we'll talk to you hopefully sometime soon again.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.